The focus of our missions are these surgical teams coming in and doing these surgeries. And if you have two people that can speak the language, you have to know that the translator has to be with the people that are going to be doing the surgery, because they need the parents to really understand what's going on.
You're going to be seeing people that are extremely difficult to work on, and your communication with them is not going to be as easy. So you've lost that. And plus, this individual has never been in the dental chair. I mean, you can't just go, full tilt. You have to show, tell, do every step of the way.
You have no idea what you're going to find. You have no idea what you're going to learn. You do not have any idea how it's going to impact and change you. And they do. There's not a single one that I come home from that I do not have something profound inside of me that has changed.
Get ready for your unofficial dental hygiene podcast. These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
So, Andrew, I'm so excited that we are finally putting this together. We've been talking about engaging with the students for a very long time now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and it's about time that we started really giving them the focus that they deserve, right? They're the future of our profession.
They really are. And we're excited that PDT has sponsored this episode because they do believe in the students being the future of our profession. They're going to be our colleagues, right?
Mm-hmm. And you've heard about it in the past. We've been talking about PDT for a long time. They believe very much in quality education, and they've been sponsoring our episodes for a long time now.
Yes. And we think all of these episodes are actually going to be really great, even for the veteran hygienist. We really wanted to make these episodes and these roundtables focusing on topics that students are going to either be presented with when they go into new offices, maybe things that are happening during their time as a student. But, how do they go and move from student to new grad to experienced RDH?
Yeah, so we're expecting to have episodes. Sometimes it'll be on instrumentation, how to adapt to certain angles, using an ultrasonic, maybe sharpening the instruments. And then other times we're going to talk about what types of offices that you're going to encounter, whether it's corporate, private practice, maybe a DSO. We'll talk about pay structures. There's just so much that's out there that you're right. Even the veteran hygienist is going to need to know these things as well.
And so we hope you enjoy this episode, and be sure to check out PDT, your Paradise Dental Technologies, because they have some of the greatest instruments.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's time for the interview.
Oh, but I had something else to say.
We need to let the experts talk now.
Fine.
All right. Students, we have a great roundtable scheduled for you today. What are you laughing for already?
I'm not.
We're coming to you live in person at ADHA.
Mm-hmm.
And we have two and possibly a third member of the roundtable speaking to you on mission trips, charitable dentistry, humanitarian dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
What other words have we used to describe?
Insanity.
Insanity. And we have Mary and Dorothy here to talk to us. And we have lots of questions prepared for you guys. So I can't wait for it. So welcome to the podcast, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you,
This is
Michelle.
so exciting.
So again, we're speaking to students and new grads as well. But maybe we can start off with just a little bit about who you are, and also why did you even get excited about charitable dentistry?
Well, I can start. I'm Mary. Probably should say who.
Mary's been on the podcast before.
I have, yeah.
You
So
recognize
thank
her
you
voice.
for having me back. I appreciate that. I've been a hygienist 38 years, and about 14, 15 years ago, the dentist that I was working with became involved with the organization that we volunteer with, Alliance for Smiles, and he went on a mission trip and came back. He went to China for 2 weeks, and he came back, and he started talking about this hygienist that was on the trip, and I was like, what? I mean, I was just blown away that a hygienist could go on a medical mission trip.
Mm-hmm.
The focus of these trips is cleft lip and cleft palate surgeries, and they do the dental work on the kids before they have their surgery, which is really important, especially for the palate surgery. So I signed up, and the next year I went on a trip, and I've gone on at least one trip, sometimes 2 trips a year. It's life-changing for the child, but it's life-changing for the volunteer as well. So I'm the lead hygienist for Alliance for Smiles and mentor the dentists and the hygienists and the assistants that go on these trips. And I love every minute of it. I love every minute of it. Yeah, I'll be heading to Egypt in November.
So exciting.
Oh, fun.
That's something I want to do.
So fun.
And this is Dorothy, and I have been doing hygiene for 32 years now. And I had done a number of missions from just different things, from a church mission, or I do a lot of photography, and I've done that. But I wanted to be able to connect my passion for serving and use the skills that I have as a dental hygienist. And the 2 missions that I had gone on previously were both in Africa, and I had realized the need for this. And then a patient came into our office and was talking about a mission group that is this group that Mary and I both volunteer with, that they brought hygienists along. And I was like, okay, where do I go? Let me sign up. And so I think that was October, and that January I went to Bangladesh. And I didn't know anyone. There was no other dental personnel on that team. I was by myself. And where some people might have said it was, just crazy, I was like, okay, I'm sold. And I've been, that's 10 years ago now, and I've done 17 missions, and I have my 18th one coming up in September. I'm going to Guatemala.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Do you find that often you're the only person on these trips?
I happen to be often the only person on the trips that does any kind of dental care. And I think it has to do with the different places that we go. It seems to be the missions that we've done in China, it's more set where there is a dentist that goes. I think the setup is different, and the way that those missions have been organized is a little different. The ones that I've been to outside of China, I just don't know that even the setup in the countries are that the dentists are able to do it.
I think it's much easier for a dental hygienist to travel solo. Dental hygiene is very portable, and we can do a lot. As you know, you both have done mission trips with a small amount of equipment. When you add the dentistry component to it, there's a lot more that needs to be brought along, and it changes the whole kind of layering of the experience. I would say for me, it's been about half the time I've been the solo dental person, and then the other half I've been with a full team, a dentist and a dental assistant. Ideally, that's how it should be, but if where we're going, if they don't have a dental clinic, how is the dentist going to work? So with a dental hygienist, we can do fluoride, we can do prophies, we can do education. Education is key. So it really just kind of depends on the location. The organization does a site visit before sending a team. We don't just show up. I don't want to say vetted the place, but they to make sure that it's safe.
Tell them you're coming too.
Exactly.
And to see what equipment we need, because sometimes there is a setup for, again, for surgery, for oxygen that'll work with our systems, and other ones there isn't. And so they have to check
They're checking the ORs and the PACU. There's a whole system for that. So
this is actually nice to hear, because it is a very different experience than what I've even experienced. And you're talking about like it's a very portable thing to do. Whereas when I went on my first one, I felt like I had to have a dentist because what if they need an extraction? I was like, in my head, I was like, it has to be complete. Like, what if I can't see this patient and they need help, and what am I going to do? I can't turn them away. And so I had that dentist, and we did extractions, and we did hand scaling, and we did like the pressure cooker sterilizing way, which is not ideal, but that's what you do when you're amongst banana trees and sugarcane and stuff.
Right.
But now the last 3 trips I've been on, I didn't have a dentist, and it was actually really fine. It was really fine. But we don't have that same vetting process for dentistry, because they're vetting for church space or like making sure the community actually is in need and those kind of things. And then we just show up. And most of the time, our medical trips are like, dental, like, what do you do again? Like,
they're
how does this
by
work?
us a little bit.
Wait, that's what you do? And it's a learning experience for them as much as it is for the.
But I love that. Like, one of the things that I've said is that quite often when I'm on a team, we have the plastic surgeons, the anesthesiologists, the nursing people. They don't really understand a dental hygienist and the scope of our education, our skills. I keep on saying, we don't own what we know. We don't stand strong in who we are and what we can do and the value of what we do. We tend to be a little bit more like, okay, well, I'm just going to take care of this person. Here's the dentist. We need to own it. I think that as a profession, we need to own it. And I find that when I'm sitting there and I'm talking with a surgeon and we're talking about things and they look like, you know that?
You know that?
Yeah. How do you know that?
I kind of look at myself that when I'm on a mission, I'm an ambassador for the organization. I'm an ambassador for the United States, and I am an ambassador for the dental hygienists of the world. I think that's important.
Yeah. I agree.
Earlier, you mentioned education is key. Dorothy said sometimes you're by yourself, but what about the language? I feel like some people are going to ask about, like, what if you don't speak the language in Africa?
So it depends on the country that you go to. Always in China, we have translators. And an interesting side note about that is after about a day or two of the translators watching you, and you're telling the translator what to say to the child, and it's neat because you need somebody right there. As you know, as you can imagine, this child has never been in a dental chair. So the translators, you're only as good as your translator. And then after about a day or two, they'll come up to you and they'll say, Mary, can you wash my teeth too?
Oh, I love it.
And I said, of course I will wash your teeth. That's how it translates. And then once I do that, they become an even better translator because now I don't even have to say anything. They're going into it. They just start, this is what's going to happen because they've experienced it. Other countries, there's a lot of charades.
Yeah, I have
pantomiming.
I'm going to tell you, if we're playing a game of charades, you want me on the team. But I have played charades. I've been on a lot of missions where I don't have a translator.
Oh, wow.
And part of the thing too, again, the focus of our missions are these surgical teams coming in and doing these surgeries. And if you have two people that can speak the language, you have to know that the translator has to be with the people that are going to be doing the surgery because they need the parents to really understand what's going on. So I can, pantomime, swishing water and spitting into the sink. I always found that it's important to show them whatever, or if it's the bucket, to spit into there, because in some cultures, people spit quite freely all over the place.
Ground. Yeah.
And so my first time in China, my foot was spit on because I had the kid, told them, to rinse. And the child, took the water and went and spit over the side right on my feet. And I said, okay.
I've learned.
It only happened once.
You only
the first
get
thing
spit on one.
Yeah, in the sink, So it's just interesting. Charades are important.
Yeah.
That is big. And the translators, though, don't you find, because education, we were saying, is one of the biggest things that you can do when you're on these trips. And I feel like when they are done, the community is going to be changed, not by us, but by the translators.
Oh, absolutely. The translators that we've had in China, they are all English students. So they're at I would almost say like the graduate level of school in English. I mean, they had term papers that I couldn't have even read. I mean, their level of English proficiency is amazing. And it's a big honor for them to be chosen to be translators as part of the team. The local organization that we work with in China asks these schools to provide, I think it's their top students. So they are more than happy to be there the 2 weeks with us to help. It's a big honor.
But the one thing with that is, think about any time you've studied foreign language, you're not learning things like,
calculus
or I'm just trying to think of some of the different things that I have them say, and they're looking like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so you have to spend some time really working with them so that they understand the terminology. I can remember in one of the sites, one of the girls had, came the second day with this whole long list of words that she wanted me to explain so that she fully understood, as she was saying to the kids or to their families,
very dedicated,
what it was. Yeah, it really, it's wonderful when that happens.
So putting yourselves in the shoes of these new grads, you're looking for an opportunity. What are some things to look at to vet the different companies and different organizations that are out there?
I would say the first thing is get a few years clinical experience under your belt. I don't think I would have been ready a year or two out of hygiene school to tackle on what you have to tackle on some of these mission trips. I don't know if there's an agreement here with the group, but I think you need a few years maybe under your belt working, and then really, really research the organization that you're going to go with. And we talked about this yesterday in our course. What's going to be expected of you? Many times they want you to go off your scope of practice. and maybe you shouldn't be doing that. I don't think you should be doing that. So talk to somebody within the organization that has done that role before. If you can get a hold of the other dental people that maybe have gone on a trip with said organization, that would be my advice. Speaking to somebody firsthand, I think, is way better than just looking at their website, just to get the real information.
Yeah, and I think while you're getting those couple of years of experience, do local volunteerism, because the biggest thing is that, and I don't know, most hygienists I know, we're control freaks. We like having our environment the way that we want it. We like to have the instruments that we like. You know how that you want to work. And then you get into a mission and it is completely thrown out the window. And so you need to be ready to do that. And I think putting yourself in situations where you're not going to be as much in control and you're going to have to be using different things is a good way to see if that is something you're cut out for. When Mary and I spoke, the first thing we talk about is, is mission hygiene for you? There are many things in our world that sound so good and we want to do, but we are not necessarily cut out for it. And it's not a judgment. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's not good. It's not bad. We all have our strengths. And I've been on a couple of teams where there have been members that have come along, maybe having different expectations of what this was going to be, or had not had any kind of real travel experience and were completely unable to handle the demands of a mission. For us, when we're going to places, we're mostly at least 12 hours out of our time zone. That takes adapting. And if you can't adapt your sleep, you know what? Then you should be looking at missions that are not quite so far away from home. So those are the kind of things, I think, to be honest with yourself and to challenge yourself to try different things before you get into something where you are so far out of your comfort zone is an important thing to do.
And I kind of want to clarify a little bit because I feel like someone's going to hear this and be like, well, I am Golden Scaler Award winner. I am so good. And I want them to understand, like, this is my perspective, and Mary, feel free to clarify, but I also don't really like new grads or students necessarily going on the same mission trips with me, because those are patients that haven't seen generally any dental care. So this isn't the level of education and level of experience you need is more than you think. And you don't know what you don't know until it comes upon you. So you're going to find yourself out of your depth really quickly.
Right.
And so if you can have, a couple of years kind of feel around, prove what you're doing.
And as Dorothy said, do something local. I think, like you said, you're going to be seeing people that are extremely difficult to work on. And your communication with them is not going to be as easy. So you've lost that. And plus, this individual has never been in the dental chair. I mean, you can't just go, full tilt. You have to show, tell, do every step of the way. And I just think it would be really important for somebody to have some experience first. Yeah.
I may push back on that.
Okay.
I actually am going to try to bring students on my next trip. And the reason for that is mine aren't surgical ones. Mine are like just pop in this like zero gravity chair, lean back a little bit, and lots of education, because I do feel like that would just reinforce education for them. Because in my clinic, we see mostly people who've never sat in a dental chair. So the level of calculus is pretty intense. And I'm speaking more when I go to Central America. We're seeing mostly Spanish speaking in my clinic. And so when they lay back in that chair and they've never had their teeth cleaned, these people are going to get hand scaling 101 handed to them like no other, like something I couldn't give them sometimes in the clinic. And I actually am excited to show them how they have to adapt. Now, what I will not like about it is that they're going to be so slow, and they're going to be seeing probably a quarter of the patients that I would probably be seeing. And I'm probably going to have to hold their hand a lot of it, but I'm excited for them to not actually twofold, not get into that box of like, I have to have my instruments exactly in this position. And somebody comes in and they're messing up my tray. Like they can like we can put them back in a zero gravity chair. Let's disclose them. Let's show them how to brush their teeth. And if that's all you do, that's success. Like I want them to be excited about that. But then also I want them to, because how many times do you hear people like, I want to do missions, and then 5-10 years goes by and they've never done it. Like if I could get them where they have that experience and they feel their heart just swell with what they are doing with the people, I hope that would carry on to.
And I think it would.
After.
And I think what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think what you're saying, it really depends on the mission.
Yes,
we're time
like
sensitive.
More,
yeah, we're time sensitive because we have to complete their dental work before their surgery. Because once they're operated on, there's not a whole lot of luxury time. So, but I agree with you. I think it would be a fantastic experience for students to go along with some mentors and be guided along the way. But to be a solo, I think that would be overwhelming.
It's almost like a residency type thing where they have the oversight and they have the teaching and training still with really hard cases. I love that idea.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good a point to bring up, is that there's tiers maybe of types of mission trips that you could be doing, because one of your trips could just be going and brushing and teaching them how to clean between their teeth.
And this is what I say on everything. That is the most important thing that we do. I'll never forget being in the Philippines, and what I do is I'll work on all the patients, all the kids that are going to have surgery, and then any other time I will pull anybody from anywhere. It's like, you know what? Come on, let's do this. And I'd always do every afternoon, I would do a group oral hygiene instruction thing so that anybody sitting around the hospital can come in and hear me talk and show things. And the very first time I did that, I will never forget. So that I was showing them, I said, and now you go to the tongue side of your teeth to brush. And collectively,
their teeth on the tongue side.
And it was like, oh, all these people said that. And I had to sit back and think, and that if they had at all ever seen anything on how to brush your teeth, because they certainly don't have a preventive healthcare specialist in their preventive oral healthcare specialist in their communities. You see movies. And what do you see on movies or commercials? Somebody, first of all, scrubbing and the front of the teeth. That's all that they see. So that's what they think, and they don't think to do it. And so I always realize that even if I can just touch people and get them to understand everything, where you need to be brushing and how you should be brushing and why. And then what I like to do usually, especially because I'm working most of the time with families, is that I'll speak with the mothers and I will say, I want you to really pay attention to this, because when you go home, it's going to be your job to go to the moms in your community and teach them what I'm teaching you. And it's amazing how once you engage them in that, their focus on what you're doing, and all of a sudden those questions, because you could talk to somebody and any questions, they say nothing. But when you've now given them that authority that they're going to be the one to teach it, now they're really paying attention and the questions are asked. And I know that they're going back and they are going to be sharing that with other people in the community.
It sets them apart.
It's a big thing.
Do you feel, though, there's a difference between doing charitable dentistry out of the country and in the U.S. as far as your approach with people?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we should be.
We have the same standard of care, the same infection control, everything. We would never bring in a product that's expired. I mean, everything is top notch. So
I guess maybe let me rephrase that. As far as your approach to that, and the process I'm coming across is like, in the U.S. we have TV shows that show us like that people are brushing. They're touched by television. They're touched by maybe a school program where they learned how to brush their teeth, and now they're adults brushing the same way. Versus if I go to Nicaragua, they might have nothing, and I have to start from very,
I start with very basic oral hygiene care, and it's basically brush morning and brush at night for 2 minutes. And I have to say, I know in China, I don't even bring up flossing because they can't buy it anywhere. Like the communities that we go to, there's no way to buy it, so I don't even include that in the oral hygiene education. My biggest focus is the brushing, 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at night, and nutrition. And I was just going to say, especially for, these kids with cleft lips and cleft palates, I think more often than not, they're ostracized from their community. They're made fun of. And the parents, to make them happy, give them sweets. And then that, of course, leads to a decay problem. So I never say no sweets, never sweets, because I think that's impractical. But I'll, ask if they like them. Oh yeah, every day. I said, nah, you got to kind of cut that back a little bit if you can. So.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I mean, I've been in parts of Africa where I'll say, okay, so how do you take care of your teeth now? And they're using chew sticks. I know that I'm not going to be sitting here and really pushing going out and buying a toothbrush and interdental cleaning, because that isn't it. So now I'm going to talk to them about a chew stick and how are you using that? And are you making sure that you come in then and use it to the best ability? And for me, I'll never forget the first time that happened, because I remember hearing about chew sticks that very first month of dental hygiene school. And in my head, that was something history. And now I was being confronted the same thing the first time, because in the community where I practice in New Jersey, I don't generally have betel nut chewers. You know, I know that there are many communities in the U.S. that have it, but I don't see that in the particular area that I am. And so it was almost like it didn't exist until I got to Bangladesh. And boy, did I learn about betel nut, you know, so it's like
you
everything.
should just extract the teeth because there's no way that's coming off.
I don't think dynamite will take it.
just pull the teeth. Just
Take them out, clean them extra orally.
and then put them back in.
But it's exciting. You know, that's the thing that is so neat about when you do these missions, is that you have no idea what you're going to find. You have no idea what you're going to learn. You do not have any idea how it's going to impact and change you. And they do. There's not a single one that I come home from that I do not have something profound inside of me that has changed because of somebody's story or just a general condition that I see. That's the thing that's so amazing about doing it.
So it's addicting. Be warned.
It is.
Super. Well, how many do we all?
Yeah.
Every year
Yeah.
We're doing it.
That's awesome.
So the preparation for a mission trip is quite extensive sometimes. And I know it's kind of regional dependent, right? So if you're going to, Africa is going to be different than Asia versus, Central America. But what are some kind of general tips that we can give to them for preparation?
Personally, things that you pack. One of the things that I talk about is for women, a long skirt. There is not a single place in the world that you can go to that a long skirt is not appropriate. So that I just find that it's respectful. So I like to always have a long skirt with me. Plus, it's always easier to travel with a long skirt. I won't get into details, but when it comes to restrooms, long skirts are sometimes much easier.
Can we talk about restrooms? Do you
that's another
think
episode.
a porta potty is a bad thing?
Oh, please, I would take that any day.
Any day.
Yeah. I think that, when it talks about supplies, try to think about the minimal amount of what you can use, and then talk to reps, talk to your boss, whatever it is you scrounge around. I found that I'll just go to different offices that I have met people from that office, and I'll talk to them. They're usually very helpful. I will always ask members of my team to contact their local dentist and ask for a dozen or 2 dozen toothbrushes. So that way, when I go, I'll generally have about 200 toothbrushes that I can give out. So that's always helpful. I like to bring my own instruments because I know that they're sharp.
Yeah.
So those kind of things.
Some organizations will supply you with, we have some dental supplies that go on each mission trip with Alliance for Smiles, but I always tell either the dentist or the hygienist, if you have a favorite that you cannot live without, bring it with you. Because if it's not in this mix, and I'll send them photographs or whatever of the setups, especially for the dentist, like for their extraction instruments. If you have a super favorite, you pack it because it might not be, in the set of equipment. But to maybe find out about how many people you might be seeing, because if you're going to be seeing 50 versus 150, that's going to change everything. And just, start asking local dentists for donations. Obviously, the office where you work at, if you're at a meeting, talk to the vendors, because every little bit helps. If you get 50 patient bibs from somebody, or if you can, you've done it, Michelle. You piece it together, and the next thing you know, you're like, hey, I'm good. I'm set. Yeah. You can work with very little.
And the other thing too is research where you're going. Find out what it is that you need to know. Go to CDC and find out, do you need certain shots? And your organization will help you with that too. But I don't like to be dependent on them, because if somebody there has dropped the ball and I get somewhere and I don't have the kind of vaccination that I really should have, it hurts me. So I like to know a lot about where I'm going.
Well, they might not let you in.
I was going to say, like, if you don't have yellow fever,
fever,
you're not getting in. And
better
you
have that card.
You better have that card, or you're not getting in.
You're not getting in.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, just that you know, and that you'll know about the weather and what you might need. But again, pack as little as possible. My very first mission, I had a suitcase. I had my scrubs to wear during the day. I had a different outfit for each night, and I had some dress. I was set,
Rookie.
And at this point in time, I could probably pack everything that I bring personally into a little tiny backpack because I just wear the same clothes. It's not glamorous, and I
wash it in the sink.
It's not about hair and makeup, we like to say. It is not.
Yeah. That's been, my luggage didn't show up for this conference, and I've been back to mission mindset. I'm washing my few items in the sink at night and squeezing them out and blow drying them so that I can wear them in the morning. So
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how
the very first trip I went to China, I had my dental bag and then your personal bag, and painstakingly you pack because you want everything in there to be exactly what you're going to need. And we got to our final destination in China. This is after multiple flights, right? No luggage. I went an entire week on my first mission trip without my suitcase. So by the kindness of other mission team members, they gave me socks. I got an extra team t-shirt. I had packed scrubs. I had a pair of scrubs packed in my carry-on. And it's amazing what you can do without. It was a really valuable lesson. But then on the other hand, I was really glad when that suitcase came. I was really happy to have all clean clothes.
I can't wait to get home and have clean clothes.
Yeah. Oh, that's so bad. So I think cost was a good question because everyone thinks that it's too expensive when they see it, or that's just going to be their hurdle. So what are your thoughts?
With our organization, if you are a medical volunteer, your room and board and your airfare is covered because most of these trips are paid for by Rotary International grant money. So if you're a medical personnel, if you're obviously a doctor, anesthesiologist, nurse, all the dental personnel, your way is paid. There's a nominal, I'll say a couple $100 volunteer fee, but that includes your traveler's insurance, which is one thing we highly recommend that you have traveler's insurance. God forbid something happened to you when you're on a trip, you want to be airlifted out. If I'm in the middle of Myanmar, I want to go home, and the traveler's insurance is built into your volunteer registration fee. So that's something to really, really pay attention to.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And we've done different things. There are different ways that we've raised money. I host every year a dinner that's called Dining for Smiles. I love to cook. So I have a problem with asking people just to give me money. So I make a big meal. I might barbecue. I might do a big Sunday Italian dinner with the braciole and the fresh mozzarella and all of that. And I'll have about 50 people come to my house, and I just come for a big spread. And then they donate. The suggested donation is $50 because I figure the way that I look at it is that I live outside of New York City. If you were to go out for a big dinner, you would spend at least $50. So write a check to the organization for that amount of money and come to my house and have dinner. And I find that people are generally generous with that. And we do that. I don't do that for my way to go. I do that just as a pure donation for Alliance for Smiles. But you could do that for yourself. You can say, hey, I'm going on a mission. I want to do this. Can you come to a Super Bowl party at my house? I'm going to charge $25 a head, and come and do that. Yeah. So you can be really creative with that or GoFundMe.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always GoFundMe. We did a thing at the office where I worked at where many of us were involved with this organization. And we did whitening for smiles.
Yeah.
And it worked out perfect. We all came in on a Saturday. We volunteered our time. And we had patients throughout the day, and they had impressions taken for whitening trays, and they made a direct donation to Alliance for Smiles. I mean, they wrote the check, and in one day we raised $10,000 because people gave more than.
And if you're practicing clinically, my first 2 trips were funded half by my patients.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Just by talking to them.
Sure.
They're like, I'm really excited. I'm going to Uganda. This will be my first time. And they were just like, I even had one give me $10. She was on a limited budget, and she wrote a check out to the organization for $10, and it was like I could have cried. Like I probably did cry afterwards. But yeah, you'll find some really generous people and be creative. And
right, they might not be able to go, but they want to help somebody else go.
Exactly. And I have a hard time asking for money as well. And I had one patient who gave me several $100s, and I was like, this is huge. This matters so much to me. Thank you. And he was like, listen, I got the money. I don't got the time. If this is what you want to do, that's how you support each other. I have no desire to go do what you're doing, but I'm happy to throw some money at you.
That's awesome.
And I was
that's really great.
From that point on, I was like, that's good.
It is good. Good-hearted people
to be, and I just kind of feel that it allows people to participate, and they love to feel that. I know that one of the things, I have a number of patients, I think we all do, that tend to want to see one hygienist or the other. And I'd like to think that all my patients want to come to see me because of my skill, but I have a feeling some of them, it's because they can't wait to hear where I have been in stories of that mission, but they all feel invested in that. And the thing that's good about that, and I think if you're looking also for support from work, is because a lot of dentists may not be overly thrilled with allowing their staff to take that time off.
Right.
But one of the things that, and my boss has been really very good with that. He's really wonderful. What I've said to some people is remind your boss, one of the things that I have found are people are so excited that I do this, and it reflects on the dentist that I work for, that he supports this and he helps out with it. It's an incredible marketing thing. It's, I have patients that will refer somebody, and they come in and they're like, oh, you're the hygienist that does the missions. I know that this group does that. That's a big deal. People like that, because in this day and age, people want to feel that they're going somewhere where there's care. And there's nothing more caring than practitioners who are doing mission work. It just is. You're not going to be somebody that's going to travel halfway across the world to take care of some people and not take care of the people that are in your chair at home.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a good point, though, too, if you do have a boss that's not willing to give you off 10 days or whatever, you can still volunteer in your community, and that's a day or that's an afternoon, or, I'm in an outreach program, and God, I would give anything if a hygienist, if you're listening in Charleston, come volunteer with me.
Michelle,
please. Please.
I'll come down.
Yeah, I would love it.
I wish there was reciprocity.
There is with volunteer, though. I just learned that you can get a volunteer license.
Can you as a dental hygienist? Because
Yes.
I can't do it in Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
It's state dependent.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
See that we need you here.
Yeah.
You know these things.
How about legislation stop being stupid? Okay.
Okay,
So,
don't digress.
okay. All right.
Not get these poor little students and new grads dashed on their hope. Great.
No, they're going to make the change. They're going to come in and they're going to make that change.
Yeah.
What do we have? Arizona just passed that law. So
Reciprocity.
they're
for
going to do
everyone,
that.
right? So-
They're going to do it.
It's going to take your license.
Yeah.
That's why we need these new hygienists. They're going to come and they're going to make change. I'm so excited.
So we're wrapping up on our time. Tell us quickly before we end this. So you're here at ADHA. You guys are giving a lecture. Is this something that you've done before together?
We've presented this same presentation one other time at Beyond the Prophy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Last October. But yesterday was our first time presenting, obviously, at ADHA, and we were thrilled. I mean, it's beyond anything we had ever expected in our careers. And literally, we were pinching each other before we started. I mean, we were just like, I cannot believe we're doing this. The best comment we heard yesterday from many people was your passion came through, and that was it. That's all we needed to hear. That was all we needed to hear.
I think for me, what was so exciting was, we got this is the room that you're going to be assigned to, and you see it, and there's over 200 seats in that room. And I called Mary and I said, oh my gosh, we're in a big room. I said, this can be one of two things. It's either going to be really good. They put us in a big room because there seem to be people that want to hear what we have to say, or it's going to be you and me and about 5 people in one row in this whole big space. And I was like,
The anxiety.
What was so exciting for me was to see how really nicely filled our room was. And what that meant to me wasn't just that it was that people wanted to hear Mary and Dorothy speak. It was that people are passionate about going out and doing this work. And I think that how Mary and I approached it was to help people create a plan of action for doing that they could sit there and figure out how to get involved in an organization. What questions should you be asking? What should you be doing?
Exactly what we just talked about.
Yeah. It was just so exciting for me to see the number of people that are clearly interested enough to take the time where there are so many of these incredible courses going on to sit and hear us talk. That was amazing.
We had a great time.
Well, your passion definitely shines through. I mean, from the moment you and I actually met.
Smiles
that's what we talked about the first time too.
Yeah.
It's very evident. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. If someone wanted to reach out to you though, and maybe have you do a webinar or speak at their local conference,
we'd be happy to. They can reach me at my email, maryjensenrdh@gmail.com.
And mine's going to be really creative. It's Dorothy Ferreira, rdh@gmail.com.
Excellent. We'll have those in the show notes for you guys. You just click through it. It'll be really, really nice and easy. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. Good luck, students. You got this.
And I can't wait to hear where people are going. I just am so excited about where things are going.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
We hope you really enjoyed that roundtable, and be sure to check out PDT Dental. Head over to their website, Paradise Dental Technologies, and check, if you're on the show floor, going to trade shows, go see them. Check them out. They're great, great people.
And a special thank you to the guests that were on this episode. Feel free to reach out to them as well. They have a lot of good information for you, and they like to be contacted. So you'll see their information in the show notes.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. You're welcome to send us messages through either of those social media platforms. And you can send us a message at ATOTH2hygienist@gmail.com. You can even email us directly, either Michelle at ATOTH2hygienist.com or Andrew at ATOTH2hygienist.com. And head over to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, ATOTH2hygienist.com.
There's a theme going on there if you haven't been able to tell. And also, we're always looking for ideas for student roundtables. So if you're a student and you have a specific topic you want us to tackle, please reach out to us. Let us know.
We appreciate you for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.